Back. Let's get to everything that's going on. The Yankee managers thing, wide open. Cashman promised to come on when he's ready to come on, so we're waiting for him now after hearing Joe Girardi yesterday. So the Yankees move forward and open their search. So they pretty much opened everything. A-Rod, I told A-Rod that the fans were asking if he wanted to manage, and he thought it was pretty funny. He was honored, but I don't think it's going to happen. John in Westchester, what's up, John?
Hey, what's up? My first time, long time.
What's happening?
Not much. So after the Girardi firing, which I definitely disapprove of, there's really only one guy out there that I think could replace him. And out of all the possible candidates, I really think Raul Bañez is the guy to go to.
Why?
And these are the reasons why. First, everyone forgets that he was on the first Royals World Series team where they lost, and everyone wanted Ned Yost out, and they wanted him to take over. He was almost seen as a player-manager then.
Good point. Good point. You're right about that. You're right about that.
And people really praised him for that. Second, I know this doesn't really mean anything, but he was very good on TV as a broadcaster. He really knows his baseball. And lastly, these days, I feel like it's important to have a bilingual manager given the presence of all the Hispanic players in the game.
Good things. I think the one thing is not having any experience anywhere as a manager and managing the New York Yankees first. You're going to be relying a lot on your bench coach. If you bring in a savvy old bench coach, now, if you want to walk him through, if you think he's got that kind of ability where he's going to make a great manager once he gets everything down, then you bring in a real good bench coach, a guy who's a lifer, a Don Zimmer type, and you have him because you need a guy there to watch the game with him and take him through the game and take him through his paces the first time, because there's a lot of things you have to do as a manager, little things that you have to have on your checklist that you have to do, that you have to pay attention to. You always got to stay. You got to stay moves ahead. It's not as much of the National as the American, of course, because of the pitcher. But you still got to always be managing against the other guy. You got to worry about matchups in your bullpen and everything else. And there's just a lot of little things. If you've never been a manager, to manage the Yankees the first time is an interesting dynamic. It is. Robert in Westchester, what's up, Robert? Go ahead, Robert. What's up?
Mike, you think Cashman's throwing Girardi under the bus with all these comments about, his skills?
He did throw him under the bus a little bit. I mean, listen, he had to have a reason. He had to have a reason why he got rid of him. You couldn't use. See, the thing was, people were like, "Wow, he came out hard against Girardi." He had to say something, because when you fire a guy who's got a good record, you got to have a reason for firing him. You can't say, I fired him because we weren't winning. The guy averages 91 wins. He's been to the ALCS. He's been to he's won the World Series. You can't do that, with a guy like him. You have to have other reasons. So his connectivity, that was the idea, getting on with, with the young players, relationship with the young players, that kind of thing. That's really it, but, it's almost like you're looking for someone who's going to connect. He's looking for someone that will connect with the players, more than anything else. Ed in Guilford, what's up, Ed?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Before I ask my question, I just want to say, as someone that's called in and listened for a number of years and all the arguments, I'm really going to miss you. So, outside of my wife, I really don't know who to argue with every but that being said, I was going to talk to you about McAdoo, real quick about McAdoo, okay?
Good.
I listened to you to the thing, and do you buy into that situation that he does not believe they quit in that game?
No, I think he will not admit it. I think he knows they did. I think, but he will never say that, though. See, if he says it,
I understand.
It's deafening, because if he says it, it's an indictment on him. See, because if you admit your players quit, so let people guess. Or first of all, he'll convince 50% of the people right off the bat that he's right because he's the coach. Right. So a lot of people say, well, wow, I guess they didn't quit. But he's never going to admit to you ever. I can't remember. I could probably pick a handful of times where I've ever heard a football coach
but back in the day,
he would say that his team quit. Very few times.
Right. But now let me ask you a question. If they lose this Sunday, do you think the Mariners are going to go against their practice of not firing? Because I wanted this guy.
I think if you had a situation where the Niners buried them this week, I think he'd have to pack his bag.
He's got to go.
But that won't happen. But that won't happen though. They're not good enough to do that. I mean, they're really not, and they're incredibly banged up. Let's be honest. I really expect the Giants. I will be very surprised the Giants don't win this game this week. Because I can tell you right now, with the Giants, if they have Ingram and Shepard on the field with Eli, they're going to score points against the Niners. They're not going to be able to match up with those guys. The Niners are hurting. They are not going to be able to match up with those guys. So they could throw it to those guys all day, I think, in this game. So I would expect the Giants to win this game. I really would. I mean, they are a much better team physically than the Niners are. Much better. Yeah, I'm telling you, and by the end of the week, I would be surprised if the Giants aren't favored. I just think they're the better team. They really are. It doesn't matter where the game is because they have no support out there right now anyway. People don't like that stadium because there's an issue with the sun, and they're not used to losing out there. Those fans are very, very spoiled, as you would expect, because they've done nothing but win in the last, generation. Glenn in Clifton, New Jersey. What's up, Glenn?
How you doing today, Mike?
What's happening?
I'm going to really miss you when you're gone. That being said, I'm fortunate to go to every Giant game with my father. We have season tickets.
Right.
The debacle this Sunday aside, we parked in a lot. We have a little tailgate, and a couple pulls in. My father actually directs him into the handicap spot.
Right.
He gets out. I say hello to him because I just talk to everybody. That's just me. I kiss his wife. How you doing? We spent a few minutes talking, and it happens to mention that he used to play. And I kind of figured maybe it was college or something. I didn't realize who he was. He's an older gentleman. And, again, it's mentioned that he used to play. And I finally asked him who he is. It turns out I'm talking to Erich Barnes. Now, I had to go.
Erich Barnes was a good player.
He was a great player from what I'm reading. And I was just in awe of who I was talking to, and he was already gone when I realized who it was. But I don't know if there's any way he listens or there's any way.
I don't know. I can't remember ever speaking to Erich Barnes. I mean, I remember him. I do remember him as a player. I don't know if he listens or not. If he lives in the metropolitan area, he probably does. I don't know where he lives. But, yes, he was a good player. Absolutely. Jim in Bayshore. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, Mike. Over the summer when people wanted to get rid of Girardi, you said, well, go ahead. He'll be hired in 5. He'll be out of work for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he will.
How come no one's
because there's no job. I mean, he got a late start. I mean, there was one job open. That was Washington. That was it. I mean, they said they didn't want to pay him. So, you know what? This year he'll go to TV, and then the jobs will be. He'll have a job either. I don't think he'll go mid-season. By next year, he'll have his pick of jobs. He'll be back next year. As soon as he wants to come back, he'll have his pick of jobs. Absolutely. There'll be guys this year who are going to be saying halfway through the season, you know what? We got to be the first one in on Girardi. We got to be the first one in on Girardi. There'll be guys lining up to go after him. So he'll be back like the snap of a finger. The problem was then the Mets job wasn't open. And I don't think the Mets would have paid him anyway. The Red Sox might have taken a look at him. They really, who knows if they would have or not. I don't know if they want to get into that with the Yankees. But, he's a very attractive manager. The guy was the winningest manager in the last decade. He's won a World Series. He's been to the ALCS. He went to the playoffs 6 out of 10 years. He never had a losing season, and he averaged 91 wins. I mean, you're not going to find a better resume than that, and he's the winningest manager for the last decade. I mean, that guy's not going to be out of work very long. He's not hard to get along with. He doesn't have a big ego. He gets paid a lot. That's the one thing. If you want a negative, that's the only one. He gets paid a lot. Other than that, he's going to have a job, right? But right now, he got a late start. I mean, if I'm him, he wasn't looking to be the Phillies manager, I'm sure. That's a massive rebuilding job. Although he did say yesterday that he would take a rebuilding job. But, listen, when I meant he'd be back in a minute, I mean in 1 year. I don't mean it's going to happen in 35 seconds because, what job was open other than Washington? You have to have jobs open, but next year, teams are going to want to get the jump on him. When their season's going badly and the owner's like, you know what, we need to make a change, first word everywhere is going to be, all right, we got to talk to Girardi. That'll be the first word. He'll be on ESPN or on Fox or somewhere doing TV, and the office will start flying in. It's the way it goes, and it's logical. And then he'll be the year after that, 2019, 19, he'll be managing somewhere, if not before. And that's in his world, that's snap of a finger. I mean, that he takes 1 year off is not a big deal. I mean, that would be normal. Nick in the Bronx, what's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing today?
What's happening?
So I got a question about the Knicks, but before I ask, I wanted to tell you I thought you'd be interested. I did the Citi Field golf this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not interested. Go ahead. What about the Knicks? I'm not interested. I'm really not interested in their pitch and putt at the Citi Field. I'm really not. I'm sorry.
All right, that's all right. So with the Knicks, we got Noah coming back. The team's playing well. So, the good and the bad is I'm worried about the chemistry because we've been playing so well. But they're saying that we're going to sign.
Why would you're not worried about the chemistry? What you're doing right now is trying to think of something to say. That's what you were trying to do. You're vamping to say something stupid or something, trying to say something. You just couldn't come to you. That's what you were doing because you're not worried about the Knicks chemistry right now, which we all know. Sal and Parsippany, what's up, Sal?
Hi, Mike. I just wanted your view on this one. Do you think there was anything to the fact that the Giants secondary was loafing around out there on Sunday, and there's been suspensions going on by the coach?
It is a possibility. I'll give you that it's a possibility. I don't know that there's something to it because that means they're doing that to their position coach, they're doing that to their coordinator, and they're doing that to their teammates. So, do I think the entire secondary went on strike? I don't think it was that bad, but there wasn't a lot of effort in that secondary.
No, there was not. There was nothing. And I just put one and one together. I'm saying, you know what? I really believe that these guys, are.
I would tell you this: I would not rule it out immediately. I would tell you that I couldn't prove it, but that something like that happened is not an impossibility. I think it's actually fairly logical. I don't know that there's any truth to it. That I don't know, but it was two D-backs. They've been unhappy, so they both got suspended. We'll see. Sonny and Malvern, what's up, Sonny?
Hey, Mike, two things with Girardi. One, do you think Cashman backtracked a little bit? Didn't he come out and first say the new philosophy, want to be an analytic guy, and Girardi came out and said he was an analytic guy. Matter of fact, he's one of the first ones to go with stats and all that. And then he said he doesn't get along with his players. He can't communicate.
I didn't hear him first say that it wasn't, we know there was a fraying of the relationship. We don't know exactly what it was over. We know there was a fraying of the relationship between Cashman and Girardi. We don't know exactly why. If it wasn't about their philosophy in terms of analytics, then it was about Joe did have some run-ins with players, but I don't know that managers don't, as a matter of fact. So every manager could do that, but you can't tell me this team didn't play hard. This team played. How could a team be more cohesive or have a better locker room? The players raved that it was the best locker room some of them were ever in. Yet veteran players say it was one of the great locker rooms they were ever in. CeCe said it was one of the great locker rooms he was ever in. So if that's all true, how are you going to blame the manager for that?
Right, and you can't tell me he doesn't give you the best chance going forward, Mike, to win a World Series.
He does. Listen, this is a personality issue more than anything else.
Yeah.
Here's what Cashman did, and what Cashman did, he has every right to do. But what he did was he made a decision that it was time for a change, and he changed. He took out a guy who did a great job. Now he's got to back that up by getting someone who can do an equally or better job, because he decided, I need a change. That's all. We need a change.
Well, that's good. That's going to be tough to get someone to do an equal or better job than Joe Girardi. Mike, going forward, if he signs a contract, say, with ESPN, he's going to make sure he puts in there that he can get out.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely.
Okay.
He'll be able to get out 1 year. Absolutely. Well, those contracts are broadcast contracts. You can always leave the coach anyway. Unless they specifically put in that if you left, you have to pay him back. Now, I know a couple of times with certain coaches, they did put a provision in that if you left before the season was over, you had to repay them. But as far as year to year, they know guys who they hire like that are going to manage again. They understand that. So they just want them to complete the year. That's all. They do understand they're going to manage again. Bruce in Harlem. What's up, Bruce?
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. What's happening?
A quick question. Three quick questions, actually. Are you surprised that with the pressure that's going to be on this next coach, are you surprised that the front office is willing to go with a guy with no experience?
Yes.
Number one. Number two.
Yes, I am.
Are you really? Yeah, so am I. Are you also a little confused? You know, I got an indication about the Girardi Cashman relationship when you were interviewing Cashman during the year. I believe Frazier got hurt after he came up, had an oblique situation, and you asked Cashman, "Hey, when Frazier comes back, is he going to go down?" And his answer was, "No, we're going with Hicks, Frazier, and Judge in the outfield." I thought that was really forward of him to basically state who was going to play out in front of them.
And there was some of that this year, despite the fact Joe said yesterday that Cashman let him make the lineup. There was some of that this year, and there's more of that everywhere in baseball. And there was some of that this year. I know there was some of that this year. So, and that goes on now. And listen, it goes on everywhere. I mean, Alderson does it to Terry Collins. These general managers want to do this now everywhere, and the managers don't. Some of them don't like it.
Do you think Cashman's future should really be based on the success of this very next coach?
No, but if this was solely, see, what I don't know, and I guess we can find out eventually. I don't know if ownership wanted him out, or is this a straight Cashman move? And ownership said, "Listen,
why in the world would they?"
I don't know. You see that I don't know. See, I don't know where ownership was on this. Was Hal want him out? And if Hal didn't care, I'm just as soon to bring him back. It's your move, Cash. If it's that, then it's all on Brian, and it's up to him. And there's always pressure on him to win anyway. He's done a very good job the last couple of years rebuilding this team, no question about it. That goes without saying. He's done a very good job. He had a good manager. He knows he had a good manager. He decided that he needed to make a change. It's an audible. He gets the call. Is there pressure on him now to have a right guy? Yes. Would I be surprised if they bring a guy in who has no experience as a manager anywhere? I would. To manage the Yankees for the first time ever as a manager would surprise me. Can it be done in baseball? Yes. You'll need a very good bench coach for him, and I think they're crazy if they change pitching coaches. Now I know they let all their coaches have the right to talk to people. We know the third base coach already left. If they don't bring back the pitching coach, I think they made a big mistake, because I think he's really good. I think he's really good. And the Yankees' approach to hitters and their book on them with their scouts and their game plan are very strong. Really strong. Tommy in Staten Island, what's up, Tommy?
Mike, I know what I don't understand. I mean, he wants to replace Girardi. And I'm thinking to myself, like, everybody had this situation with Girardi, and it always had complaints early last year when he had the veterans, but now he's got a lot of these young guys that just got under the belt with him. I don't know. I just don't understand it. And then who could possibly take over a situation like he did? He did a great job. You're going to have your criticism and all that, but the guy needs a change. What kind of change? You have these young players that came out of nowhere, and these guys went into almost into World Series.
Listen, it's a very fair point, and Joe did, and what the book always was that Joe had trouble with the veteran guy, not the kid. Now, did I hear this year that he and Sanchez had some issues? Yeah, I heard that. Do these guys, did they think maybe he was too rigid? Maybe he was. But so what? I mean, listen, anybody who leads 25 guys is not going to have 25 happy guys. That's all there is to it. It's the old adage, keep the 5 that hate you away from the 5 that love you, and no one will contaminate the 15 in between. I mean, that's basically it. It's human nature. You're not going to have 25 guys that love you on a team anywhere. First of all, they're competing. They're competing for playing time. They're competing for pecking order. So I mean, you're going to have that. It's just part of it's just part of human nature. You got to have a coach who people respect. You have to have a team that will adhere to the team's discipline and respect the coach. I think that's imperative. Or manager, coach or manager, you don't have to love them. I guarantee you take the most successful coach anywhere. Take Belichick, take Popovich, take Riley, take Parcells, take anyone you want. Not everybody loved them. That doesn't matter. It's whether you respect them and whether you'll play for them and whether they can motivate you to be the best you are. 2 things in the NFL. It's the golden rule. It's got 2 parts. Give your team a plan they can win with, and get them to play hard. That's the head coach's job. Back after this.